Welcome back.
Welcome, welcome. How you doing,
Welcome, one and all.
everyone?
Welcome.
I
Today,
love that. I love that. Literally, I just started. I'm like, this is like going to be really serious, and I'm like smiling. And I'm like, welcome back. Like it's just regular.
no,
This is a
but
different kind
today,
of episode.
today is an important one for a couple of reasons. Obviously, first and foremost, we have our father here, Mr. Jonah Bruck, joining us here today from Israel amidst the war going on in Shalom, obviously, as well, Sheldon in Tel Aviv.
Sheldon and Akiva, thank you for having me.
Of course.
You're welcome as well. I'm also the host of the show.
He's
the favorite son here, Akiva. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
Anytime, Dad. Anytime. I got you.
Okay.
No, but obviously, amidst everything that's been going on after the October 7th attacks and the current ongoing war and everything that's going on in social media, it felt especially appropriate time to have our father on, as he has always been. He's still a proud Zionist, proud Jew, proud Zionist, and a firm believer in the Jewish state of Israel, the Jewish people. And so we felt it would be, important to shed a little bit more light beyond also speaking about happier things, but to also shed a little bit more light on the reality of, what's going on there on the ground, what things are like in Israel, living there, in the so-called settlements, the Green Line, that sort of thing, what life is really like. But it's great to have you on, Dad. It's great to see you as always from
Thank
Efrat.
you.
And how have things been over the last couple of weeks over there?
It's really hard to describe. I mean, this thing was a barbaric act, not animals, that you'd be insulting the animals if you called them animals. An animal only kills
I agree with you there.
when they need food or when they feel threatened. Hamas did not need food, nor were they threatened. This was a barbaric, heinous act that you cannot even describe in words, beyond imagination. And let me just give you a little background of Israel before we talk about this past week. Israel was established in 1948. May 14th, 1948. That's when it became the State of Israel. The State of Israel actually goes back almost 3,000 years to the times of King Solomon. We've always been here. We've had two temples here. The first temple was destroyed. We were sent to Babylonia, came back 70 years later, rebuilt the second temple. We've been here for almost 3,000 years. The famous story in the Bible, I'm not sure if it's in the New Testament, but the famous story in the Bible is Abraham took his son Isaac to give him as a korban, as a sacrifice to God. That took place on Har Bayit, which is Temple Mount, almost 3,500 years ago. So we've always been here. Now we've been expelled many times from the Babylonians. We've been Greeks, the Romans. We've been in and out of this country, unfortunately, many times. We've had pogroms throughout the generations, from the Russian pogroms, from the Polish pogroms. We've always had pogroms against us, which ended in the murder, slaughtering, and killing of Jews. Not Israelis, as Jews. In May 14, 1948, I'm skipping a little ahead, we became the State of Israel. In 1929, which was not the State of Israel, was the Hebron massacres. If you want to see the pictures of the Hebron massacres and how these people, those that survived, with their arms chopped off, their legs chopped off, their tongues cut out, the ears are cut off. If you want to see these pictures, you could go to the Hebron and you see them in the museum there. This is what a slaughter and a heinous act means. We weren't the State of Israel. We weren't occupying Gaza. We weren't occupying Jerusalem. We didn't even have a state. We were just Jews living in the land and got slaughtered and butchered in 1929. In May 14, 1948, we became the State of Israel, and it was offered by the 1917 white paper, and then moving forward to the Balfour Declaration, which is Lord Balfour from London, who actually put in for the state of Israel. 1948, the UN voted. We became a state. The UN partitioned the state of Israel into two halves. This part is Jewish. This part is Arab. The Arabs refused. We accepted. And it wasn't about land. The UN said, hey, you got most of it. We're going to take a small sliver. We didn't get Jerusalem. We didn't get Bethlehem. We didn't get the Gush. We got Tel Aviv. We got, I think, a little in Haifa. And we got in Jerusalem, but not into the old city. So the Arabs refused right away. That same day, all 5 nations around us attacked us, which was Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, and Saudi Arabia. All 5 countries invaded us the first day we were there. At that time, there were 600,000 Jews living in Israel. 6,000 were murdered during the Independence War. That's what they called the 1948 War, the War of Independence. So basically, 10% of 1% of our population was wiped out on that first war. 1956, we had the Sinai Campaign, which was another war. And in 1967, again, the Arab countries rose up, Egypt and Syria specifically, with Jordan, but specifically Egypt and Syria and Lebanon, to basically wipe Israel off the face of the earth in 1967. In a preemptive act, Israel attacked the Egyptian air bases, and in 6 days, which was a miracle because not even the West Point military academy could explain it. 6 days, we recaptured the Gush, Old City of Jerusalem, and many other parts of the country. We basically more than doubled our size, which included the Sinai Peninsula and the Gaza Strip. That was in 1967. 1973, there was a surprise attack on Israel called the Yom Kippur War, which we lost over 2,300 soldiers during that war. And we won the defense. We then came back to play offense, and we were on the road to Damascus, which at that time Syria and Egypt said, hey, we need a ceasefire because we're getting too close to Damascus. And then where we come up to the Oslo Accords before that is this was in 1973. In 1982, we invaded Lebanon because Arafat from the Palestinian Liberation Organization was there. We attacked Lebanon to root out all the terrorism that was coming into Israel through Lebanon, which is our neighbor, our border. And we basically went in there to root out all the Palestinians. I'm sorry, not Palestinians, Arabs. Out of Lebanon. Arafat at that time went to Tunisia. He was there in exile to Tunisia for a long time until 1995 during the disastrous Oslo Accords. The Oslo Accords, Sheldon, do you disagree or no?
Oh, no, I totally agree. That was such a waste. And when they signed it, you saw it in Rabin's face. Was that the one who was there who signed it with them?
Who?
Who was the one who, was it,
Rabin.
it was
Yitzhak
Rabin, right?
Rabin.
You
Rabin.
saw it in his handshake with Arafat. Like, you saw in his eyes, like, he knew that it was going to be a mistake, and it was such a mistake. Oh, my God.
Terrible.
But look what came of that. That's what I'm listening to, and that's what I'm really mad because I'm like, we've tried so many times with these treaties and all this stuff, and it's not like we were the ones. Like, we were so quick to take on all these treaties or, like, be part of these things, and then to think that anyone could even think that we're the ones who are against them when we literally have tried, they're the ones who don't want the solution.
Right.
We've tried so many of these things. So that's what
So the Oslo Accords occurred in 1995, which
Crazy.
was a disaster. They signed it. Their point of the Oslo Accords is let's have peace with the Arab population. The word Palestine comes from Palestinia. It was created by the Roman Empire. Golda Meir was a Palestinian. Most Jews living here were Palestinians. Anybody that lived here at the time was Palestinian. Now, they say there was a Palestinian nation, but, unfortunately, there was no Palestinian nation. It was Palestinian people that lived here. If anybody's in Israel and you want to find out the history of the Palestinian nation, I suggest you go to the museums here that the Palestinians created of how they came up with this thing called Palestinia, Palestinian nation. There was no nation. It was never even a word. Actually, in 1948, the UN divided between Arabs and Jews. The 1956 war was between Jews and Arabs. The 1967 was between Jews and Arabs. Yom Kippur War, Jews and Arabs. It only came in fashionable in the late 80s when Arafat started pushing his agenda.
Ted.
No, it became, the
It
word.
is. It literally is fashionable now to be a Palestinian
It's
supporter.
fashionable if you're a Palestinian. And if you ask most college campuses today, which we'll get into later in the discussion, they don't even know where the word Palestine comes from. They just don't. I mean, but we did the Oslo Accords in 1995. At that time, Ariel Sharon became the prime minister. Because we were having terror attacks left and right after that. We did the Oslo Accords, bus bombings, hotel bombings, and the Netanya. We were here during that time.
Yeah, we were.
Sheldon, if you remember, he was young.
I remember.
The Netanya Park Hotel exploded. Buses were blown up. Body parts on the street. Zaka, which is one of the medical organizations here, they collect the bodies. We're literally cleaning up legs, arms, feet.
You remember
fingers,
Shai, one of our family friends who owns a shop on Ben Yehuda. He owns a clothing store called like Shekel or something. He had a head, someone's head, a suicide bomber's head, fly into the back of his store.
Correct. That mirror that he has in that dressing room in the back of the store, it's still there because he wants to remember what happened. And a head literally flew in. So it was a disaster. We hired Ariel Sharon.
Right? It's like it's just not named normal.
These people are not even real. And it's funny because when you said before,
I'm like, this is just so crazy.
But when we opened and Dad prefaced it with those people who committed that weren't even animals, that's what I was saying to everyone, because that's what Dad always said to me when I was younger. When things would happen, when terrorist attacks would happen, he would always say these people aren't animals. Animals.
My dog would never do such a thing.
Even animals in the wild, they'll hunt to feed. They'll hunt for a purpose to feed their families. This was just a slaughter, just for a slaughter.
Random people,
and the idea that it's, I mean, obviously it's because they're
they're monsters,
Jews,
not
but they're not. And they're not. The plan is not to stop with Jews.
No, absolutely not. And we'll move into that. So Ariel Sharon, to have peace with the Gaza Strip. He, at that time, they were Arabs, or they call themselves Palestinians, but they're Arabs. He basically uprooted 10,000 Jewish families, uprooted the graves, replanted them, and moved 10,000 Jews out of there in order for the word of peace with these Arabs / Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. At that time, it was a disaster. They were the front lines of Israel. There were no rockets flying into Israel when the people of Gush Katif were there, which we were there down there, Sheldon. Sheldon
and
I remember that. I remember
when you and Akiva, you took him on a donkey ride. But explain, like, people might not know what Gush Katif is. Gush Katif is literally where Gaza is now, and that was an entire place that was
beautiful,
gorgeous.
beautiful,
so
place.
Beautiful. I never liked tomatoes, and like I ate the tomatoes there. They grew like vegetables and everything out of sand. They figured out a whole way to make it grow out of the ground. It was $100 million, I think it was $100 million a year business. And this was back like when I was like 9, so probably like 2003, 2002, 2003. And like, so now translating that in today's money, it's phenomenal. And then now look at what Gaza is.
Right. So
those people were ripped out of their homes and given nothing what they were promised.
So they literally pulled these Jews out of their homes in the word of peace with these people.
And these were not occupied homes that like Jews had come in. These were Jews who had lived there for a long, long time. It wasn't like there were right. It wasn't like there was a bunch of Arabs or Jews came, occupied it, and then they were kicked out. Jews and Arabs had been living there for a long, long time.
Correct. Way before the state of Israel, even. After that, leaving them $100 million a year produce business, it was quickly ransacked. Piping is broken. All you had to do is just maintain what we left you. The piping.
I don't know though if we left them anything. I'm pretty sure we cleared it up beforehand.
Well, all the greenhouses are up. I don't, they didn't burn it, but the minute we left, the Arabs / Palestinians took over. Then Hamas had a coup against the Palestinians. There's two different fractions. You have Hamas, Arab/Palestinians, and the people voted. The people voted in Gaza. It wasn't a takeover for Hamas rather than the Palestinian Authority/Arabs, because there is no Palestinian Authority, but that's what they voted for. Palestinian Authority is run by Fatah, started by Yasser Arafat. Mahmoud Abbas was the Israeli man, which is Fatah. He is now based in Ramallah. And Hamas, which was voted on by the people, were put in government. Anybody that was not for Hamas, that was for the Mahmoud Abbas, were thrown off of roofs, were brutally killed, were decimated. And we stand today with Hamas on our southern border in the Gaza Strip, with Israel on the northern border. That's where we are today. We've had 5 different incidents of rockets coming in, us going in to evade. They call it a ceasefire. We back out. We move on. They fire rockets again. We go in, bomb some buildings, empty, of course, because we notify the people before we're coming. So we basically bomb empty buildings, which serves no purpose. And then, of course, they call a ceasefire. We back away. What occurred on October 7th, 2023 will go down in history because this was the largest slaughter and butchery of Jews since the Holocaust, or maybe even worse than the Holocaust. You have babies beheaded. You have a woman that had a baby taken out of her, she was pregnant, taken out of her stomach, the fetus, put on the side of her, and they killed the woman. A baby was still attached to the umbilical cord. You have mass rape going on there. You have people being burned alive. You have families hugging each other, burned alive. There are 1,000 burned corpses as of today, October 17th, I believe.
18th.
18th. They've identified 730 out of the 1,000 bodies because they were burned so badly they have no idea. You have babies that were not only beheaded, there were babies that were just machine gunned down with like 30 bullets inside them. Babies, kids, 8-year-olds. And during this horrific act of butchery, which is, you can't even describe it. I mean, horrors. They've killed children in front of their parents. They killed parents in front of their children.
They kidnap children. They kidnap grandparents.
Yeah, right. And during this whole time, they kidnapped over 200 people. Some of them were Americans at the time, because there was a party there, 260 or 270 who were murdered
260
on the spot of this party for freedom and peace.
It was a rave. Yeah.
A rave party. And
a rave.
It was just, undescribable. I mean, people were in horror. When they finally went into the town of Kfar Aza, which was the most heinous place around, the generals couldn't even explain it. You cannot explain it. You cannot imagine it. They brought the reporters in to see it firsthand, just like General Eisenhower did during the Holocaust when they liberated Auschwitz. He brought all the people and the reporters there, because one day in history will go down that people will deny that it happened. And General Eisenhower made sure that the townspeople and the media videoed it so people will always remember it. As of now, that's where, and I'll let you guys comment in, we are basically at war with them. We declared war. Not
the first time in 50 years. It was the 50-year anniversary of the Yom Kippur War, October 7th, Correct. 2023. Correct. 50 days Correct. To the day.
Right.
Now, whether we were down on our, or lax on our intelligence, our security, whatever the case may be, when you come through, you don't start slaughtering people, innocent civilians. You don't butcher them. You don't cut off hands, legs. You don't torture women and then rape them next to dead bodies. That's not
in the name of occupation, fighting oppression.
Right.
And in the name of God.
Right.
Don't forget that.
Biden came today. I'll let you guys speak after this. Biden came today.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, we're dealing with Iran here. Iran sponsors Hamas. Iran sponsors Hezbollah, which is on north, which is now shooting rockets in. This is all Iran. If anybody in the world, I'm not talking about America only, if anybody in the Western world, which is Germany, France, London,
Pretty much all of
America,
Europe.
Sweden, Belgium, this is coming to them.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
I mean, you can
not
see all the
that
protests.
bad.
You see all the videos of all the protests that are going on in Sydney, Australia, in London, in France. I mean, now France banned pro-Hamas protests, or I don't know if it was
Mm-hmm.
pro-Palestinian protests as well, but I mean, it's coming
I'm
everywhere.
sure
And
that little
obviously on college campuses, like you said it before, where people are chanting "Gas the Jews" and "We want Jewish genocide." I mean, just absolutely insane. I mean, you'd think this was like
This
some
just
sort
feel
of
like real
sick
life.
fever
It's literally
dream.
psychotic.
And
Exactly.
for those who
That's why I'm
are
just
not
like,
for those who don't know, obviously a lot of people do at this point. It was a holiday when this all went down, and I was here in America, and everyone found out because there's someone that's gonna obviously find out and tell someone, even if we don't. Most of us don't have our phones. Usually, some of the employees who are working in the synagogues will have access to their phones. That's how we found out. And our shul, and the rabbi came in at like I don't know, maybe 7:45, 8 o'clock in the morning. And when he first told us, at that point, we heard that like 50 to 100 people had been killed, and they took like 50 hostages. And then every hour, I was just hearing 100 people were killed. They took 100 hostages. 200 people were killed. They have 150 hostages. 300, 400, 500. But the next day, there was already over 700 people killed. And at that point, it didn't even feel real. Like I didn't even know how to process anything. No one in the shul knew how to even function. Everyone was just kind of walking around like zombies because you just want to get your phone and make sure everyone's okay and reach out to your family or reach out to your friends who might be. And I was terrified after the holiday when I turned on my phone. Once I made sure my family was okay, I knew that I was going to start seeing a bunch of my friends lose people. If not me, I knew that I was going to start seeing it. And lo and behold, I see one of my friends, his cousin was one of the girls who was kidnapped. Another one of my friends, they couldn't find his cousin. She's now been confirmed to be killed. And like it just over and over again, watching your friends and your family members being sent onto the front lines and seeing the destruction that came, it's like nothing that I've ever even could have possibly fathomed, you know?
You can. I posted this video of this guy on our private chat with this guy speaking. I mean, and
All Brucked Up. That's the name of the chat, by the way.
yeah.
Right. And this guy posted a thing, a non-religious person who's not occupying anything. And of course, at this time, they're bombing Tel Aviv left and right. Sheldon just got at the bomb shelter. Tel Aviv left and right.
I don't even know why I'm here, honestly.
It's not even a disputed area. I mean, it's not like the people in Tel Aviv are occupying Tel Aviv. It's like bombing New York because the New York people are occupying New York. I mean,
right.
Of course, so as we stand now, the nation of Israel, which were a unique people, all come together immediately. 360,000 reservists were called up, probably the most ever. Go to either the south or the north because we're going to
Sheldon. By the way, Sheldon is going to be running lead security detail for the South Command Patrol.
No, I'm going to be Secret Service, so I just have to sit here and listen all day.
He can't go into too much detail. No, but you did say you had just come out of a shelter like 10 minutes ago, not right before we started filming this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, he's constantly in there.
How's that been?
Crazy.
So when this massacre came, and we found out about it on a holiday on Saturday, the country pulls together in a unique way, the Jewish people. It doesn't matter if you're left, if you're right, if you're religious or not religious, if you keep Shabbat or don't keep Shabbat. It's irrelevant. If you're a Jew, we all come together. Fortunately, it 100%. Takes blood on the streets to get us together, but we came together in a unique way. People from all over are sending food down. People are doing food packages, raising stuff for soldiers. I was last Wednesday. This occurred on Saturday. On Wednesday, I was digging in a grave in Kfar Tzion because I don't have enough people to dig graves. And Har Herzl, because there's so many soldiers that were killed at that time already. I was digging a grave in Har Herzl, which I think I posted on the chat as well. I've been to many graves from the outside. I've never been inside a grave throwing the dirt out in order to place a body in there. I mean, this is what we do here in Israel to come together. It's just
Sheldon, what's life been like day to day, like working in Tel Aviv and
Oh
going
wow,
out and
thanks
having
so
to go to the
much.
office?
Okay. Well, I'll try to insert myself in the conversation. Well, basically, I woke up the morning of because I mean I wanted to really discuss like how we were really being affected by this whole situation and what's currently going on. I didn't realize it was gonna be like a whole history lesson, though it's important, but I thought we were all gonna discuss our experiences with this and how it affected us. And I remember waking up on that morning, staying in our parents' house in Efrat, which is like occupied land. And I woke up and like I started seeing like things like on my phone, like on the news. I'm like go on like Twitter or X or whatever. I'm watching like freaking like paragliders coming in. Like it looked like a freaking like James Bond movie. Like it wasn't real life. Um, so I turned on like Red Alert, which is the app here, where like it tells you like in real time like of rockets coming in, and it's like blowing up like crazy. So I like turn on the radio part so you can hear like in real time everything that's like going on. Like and I went upstairs, and everyone's like listening in and everything. And then someone ends up turning on the TV because like people were really freaking out because like there was like a crazy amount of rockets. And then like the sirens went off, to go to the bomb shelters. It was Simchat Torah, so like everyone's like supposed to be dancing outside the Torah. Like we have like we were doing it like in our basement that morning. We didn't do it outside because like everything going on, but like it kept breaking up, to go to the bomb shelter. And you're just seeing it like all these little kids, and like it's a small bomb shelter we have in the house, but like unfortunately, like here, like every place has to have a bomb shelter because it's part of the life here, unfortunately. And we were all piling in there, little kids, freaked out of their minds. No one knows what's really going on. Israel is very rarely caught off guard, so all of us are panicking. And the fact that the country didn't even see this coming made us like we just didn't know what the hell was happening. And as things are, starting to get pieced together throughout like the day, and like the invasions, and they pulled down the fences and breaking in with tractors, and you're watching these videos, and it's just like what in the hell is going on? And like in Tel Aviv, like there's been times like, a couple summers ago where we had rockets and stuff and we all go to the bomb shelter, but like, it comes here and there, unfortunately, that's like life here, but this was like nonstop. Like my phone's blowing up at every place. It's getting, attached with rockets. And like, if not for like the Iron Dome system we have to like, counteract them, it, we
By the
would
way, I
all be
remember
dead.
when AOC and Rashida Tlaib were crying after they couldn't get their resolution passed to stop funding to the Iron Dome.
Yeah, right. So we'd all be dead. Like literally, is like
Long gone.
you look at the news and it looks like, oh wow, Israel's not like totally a war zone. Yeah, because if not for the amazing army we have, and if not for that Iron Dome, we'd all be dead. Um. So yeah, everything that's been unfolding has been crazy. I'm not going to work. I'm working from home every day. Today, Biden was in town. My entire street was like blocked off for blocks and blocks and blocks. Um, but like, so it was pretty quiet today. But then we had a siren as I got back from the gym. I got
Do
the
you go
shower.
out a
We had
lot?
another siren. I don't really go
Just
out
if you need
much,
to.
only when I need to. Like I take my dog for a walk and stuff. But like 2 days ago we had 6 sirens. That's just in Tel Aviv. And like at this point, like it's just like, oh yeah, the siren went off. Okay, I go to the bomb shelter. It's not like I'm like freaking out and crying and everything because it's so normal at this point. It's like psychotic. And like, people keep messaging me, asking me how I am. And like, yeah, it's crazy going through all this and everything. But all I can think of is everybody who has loved ones that are brutally murdered or like kidnapped. They have no idea if they're alive, and if they are alive, what they're going through. So it's like, I can't even imagine what they're going through. So thank God, like I'm in a position where it's not that bad. But it's horrific what's going on. It's incomprehensible. And it's nice to see that we are getting support from a lot of people, including Biden. Unfortunately, there are still always going to be those people who like don't understand. In my mind, this whole situation is pretty clear. It's not right. It's not left. It ain't middle. It's not gay, straight, this, there, the other. It has no. There's no rationalization for any of this. These people that were kidnapped, there wasn't a war going on. Combat soldiers were taken and taken as hostage. or as leverage for something. These were completely innocent people. The 260 people that were murdered at the rave, doubt any of them are religious. Maybe a few of them. Most of them aren't religious. They're most likely not right wing. They're a bunch of like hippie, like everything is good in life, and like, so it's not like they were part of the government. They have anything to do with this occupation. There was nothing about that. This is very clear. Once it came out like about the babies that were brutally murdered and beheaded and stuff, like that, I can't, like, there's just there's no rationalization. Even if there was some sort of made up freaking occupation and something stupid like that, like there's no rationalization for any of this, and it's just horrifying. And I feel like it's important to express what's going on currently and how important it is that people understand how serious the situation is. And there's a good chance it's unfortunately probably going to get worse before it gets better.
And also, I feel like the more time that passes on, the less, it's not just like the less support, but less kind of like you kind of lose momentum, so to speak, in terms of what Israel's trying to accomplish. And I feel like we only have like so long, a couple of weeks, until the world's like, okay, like you're not allowed to fight back now, or you're not allowed to, you don't have the right to defend yourself anymore, or the proportions are too much. So maybe let's reel it in a little bit, which is the most insane argument. Proportionality in war is the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life.
Insane. It's literally yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I was just go.
No, you're right. And matter of fact, Gilad Erdan, who's the Israeli ambassador to the UN, spoke on Sunday, the day after this massacre.
It was
described some of the scenes, which he didn't even know all the scenes yet. Nobody really knew the stuff until they started going into these kibbutzes, Kfar Re'im, and all these other places.
It's for siren. No, I think it was just a police siren. Okay.
Yeah. Sheldon, by the way, will understand if the siren goes off.
Right, that's what I was listening for. I have my transparency mode on and my window open.
Me and Dad will hold things down over here.
Right, I don't think I have Wi-Fi in my bomb shelter.
Yeah, so
my dog does the trick. Milo, the second the siren goes off, my dog like jumps up, and then it runs out with me to the bomb shelter.
Yeah, but Sheldon, do you have a lot of coworkers or friends who have been called back? Or
yeah, yeah. I have so many coworkers and friends that were called back to their service. One of my friends back from New York, his aunt and cousin were kidnapped. It's just not even real life. Like I do have to say though, wrap my head around any of this.
It has been for someone who, like Sheldon said, for someone who doesn't like Joe Biden necessarily. I don't necessarily think anyone does. His speech was incredible. Mayor Eric Adams, his speech was also very good. Super strong speech.
Like, it's really surprising, unfortunately, because unfortunately, in a lot of these times, Israel, for some reason, is always the bad guy, this small little sliver of land. 49 Arab countries, one tiny little state that's the size of New Jersey's. Right. We went through 6 million of us were killed in the Holocaust. We can have this one little sliver of land. And you know how many people in Gaza are Syrian refugees? Why are there Syrian refugees? Also, the same Syrian refugees that America didn't want. Interesting.
Correct. And by the way, so Gilad Erdan, by the way, 100% correct, Sheldon. Gilad Erdan spoke on Sunday when all the atrocities were not all out yet. He spoke on Sunday basically stating the atrocity that occurred, worst attack in Israel since the Holocaust. But he said at the end, but give it maybe a couple of days or a week or maybe 2 weeks till the world will start condemning Israel for defending itself. What's really sad is didn't take 2 weeks. Didn't even take. He said maybe a week, 2 weeks, a month.
All right.
Didn't even take that long. Within that week, they were already protesting against.
Huh?
Want to explain what that means?
This means that on that very day, as they say.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean they were just protesting free Palestine. It was our fault because the occupation. You can't be occupying something that you own. If you own it,
right?
It's not occupied.
It's like I always say, and Bill Maher actually said it like the other night. Like, what about America? I want to give back to the Native Americans. Also, not only did we literally steal their lands and everything like that, Then we took over because we needed drilling sites, so we screwed over all their holy sites and everything like that.
Right, but they also were like
talking about occupation bitches.
Also most of them were terribly barbaric people. I mean, they would slaughter their own. They would slaughter other tribes. They had slaves. The Indians weren't these peaceful people we came. The Native Americans we didn't roll in.
A lot of people in those days, including all white people, were not like, it was a very different time.
No, right, but I'm saying the Native Americans at the time when they had first gotten here were not these peaceful tribes that were living
right.
together.
And where do you know that from? American literature. For all we know, that's also bullshit and propaganda. For all we know, they were like the nicest people ever. Like, oh my god, welcome to our land and stuff. Like, stay as long as you want. And then they destroyed them, and we were like, no, they were like the worst kind of people. And
I mean, this is how everyone
worse than that.
I mean, that's how everyone lived. That's how everyone conquered a land. That's how everyone grew. Until when? Like, when is the cutoff time? When is it no longer okay?
Right, because we have to go back to the old maps. We should really like figure out the game of Risk and how we're going to approach that now.
Well, I think right now when you have, I mean, I think Biden was a powerful speech the next day.
Also today, he spoke very well.
And Eric Adams was very good in New York. I liked his speech.
Chuck Schumer came here.
Right, there's a lot of people standing behind the state of Israel.
And Floyd Mayweather sent an airplane here with thousands of pounds of supplies.
Also, Nas Daily, you know the YouTuber Nas Daily?
Yeah.
He wrote such a nice post about it. He's a Palestinian Israeli. And he wrote a whole post
he's
about
a massive he's a massive content creator on YouTube. He has millions of subscribers.
Yeah, millions, one of the biggest content creators ever. And he wrote this whole beautiful post talking about everything going on. And he said from now on he considers himself an Israeli-Palestine. And like, because he's just so
Israeli-Palestinian, yeah.
You know.
As opposed to I am an Israeli-Palestine.
Right.
It's just I'm so Israeli. I forgot my English.
There's no history books. There's no museums. There's no fact checking. People are talking about.
Let's go if you want to be your own nation, you could. All of us, like everyone, started at some point. God gave us the Torah, then we became a nation of Israel. We weren't always like that. So yeah, you could be a nation. To me, that's not so much of the issue. The main issue is like they're literally having terrorists running their situation. Imagine if terrorists are running Israel. That would be an issue. The ones in those territories who aren't terrorists are not treated well by their own people. Right. There are people there who are literally victims of their own people. People currently now being used as human shields. Hamas has places, like in the hospital that was bombed yesterday, a missile hit it. It was actually a misfire on their side, and they literally shut at their own hospital and tried blaming Israel.
And they still are blaming Israel?
And they set up Hamas offices in schools, in hospitals, in all these places intentionally. Because then and we tell these people to leave, and then they keep them there because they want to use it as propaganda. They'd be like, look, they murdered innocent children. They literally came to Israel and murdered innocent children. They're keeping people in buildings that they know they're going to get bombed because we tell them. They just want the drama of it all. Like, it's psychotic.
I mean, they're dropping leaflets. They have the knock bombs. I mean, it's just like, what else do you want us to do?
What is that?
It was pretty funny, though, when Justin Bieber...
also, they talk about Israel and the border. We're keeping them in. We're telling them to move south. What about Egypt? Why isn't Egypt helping them out? One of their brotherlands.
Egypt doesn't want them.
Of course not.
Jordan doesn't want them. Nobody wants them. Their fellow brothers don't want them. Their fellow brothers don't care about them. And their fellow brothers don't care if they all die in Gaza. That's the fact.
And that's sad. And that's really sad. Because there are a lot of innocent people who are being tortured in this situation.
And if the UN is behind them and feels so bad, or UNRWA, because they feel so bad about the persecution, I'll pay for all the plane tickets. You pick them all up and bring them somewhere. I'll pay for the plane tickets. They can all leave tomorrow. Nobody wants to take them.
For me, it's like I feel like there are a lot of people in that territory who are like, there are a lot of women and children now who are in really bad situations.
I can sympathize with the innocent people. There, 100%.
They have no electricity. They have no access to supplies, and this is at the hands of Hamas. They won't even let the Red Cross in. So it's like these people are suffering. They don't deserve that. And so it's like, you can't even blame Israel in this situation. It's literally at the hands of their own people. They are now suffering even more so. It's horrible for them too.
Because of Hamas.
I just wanted to say, though, it was
about not wanting them.
It was among seeing all the support from various celebrities and, big organizations like the NBA and the NFL. And so Justin Bieber posted on his story, praying for Israel, but the background picture was a picture of like a bunch of buildings in Gaza that had been leveled. It was,
Oh
and
my
then
God.
and then he took it down. And Jamie Lee Curtis also had posted a picture of like praying for Israel, and it was a picture of like someone holding like a Palestinian kid who was like among some rubble.
Oh my
And
God, what
she
did they do?
deleted
Google
that.
search, like
I
Israel
know.
picture with kid?
Oh,
But let
my
me just tell
goodness.
you, I think that's very nice that these people came out. But when you have a U.S. Congresswoman, many of them, Cori Bush, Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Rashid Tlaib, who happens to be from Dearborn, Michigan. I know exactly where she was. I used to go to the Dearborn, Michigan all the time. When she can't even,
Not in a stalkery way, make that clear.
Right, he was
I always
working
knew where
there.
she was. I was in Michigan all the time.
I
I'm
know
like,
exactly where she was.
she had an
And
Apple AirTag put in her purse.
no, when they asked her, "Do you condemn the slaughter of babies,
Yeah,
children,
she wouldn't.
mothers, the slaughter?" She wouldn't answer the question.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have a U.S. Congresswoman, America's the country of the land of the free. Why are you here? Her family
The
lives in Ramallah.
land of
Why are
the
you in
free.
America?
Yeah.
America to make her life better because it's a free country. And you can't even condemn it? That's our Congresswoman? Rashid Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Cortez, Cori Bush.
These people
That's
are the
right.
See, the
worst.
reason why I
Even
have
going
no
through all this stuff, I'm still so happy to be living here and can never imagine moving back to America.
100%.
100%.
100%. I don't even live there,
100%.
but this makes me want to
Right? But
go
like you
back
get
even
it.
more.
Totally. Like
And you know what
Jonah.
I hate about Rashid Tlaib, as well as the
There's a
other ones.
lot.
If she would come out, if she would have turned around and said, "I hate Jews," that's cool. Tell me what it is. I hate Jews. Okay, cool. I'm an anti-Semitic. Okay. Now she doesn't condemn the Arabs for doing the slaughter. She doesn't say she wants a ceasefire now. Ceasefire. Ooh. But that's what you're pushing for. You can't condemn it. But now that the people of Gaza are getting bombed day and night, and have, hopefully, God willing, we'll be able to flush it out through a ground invasion, which unfortunately I think we'll lose a lot of people. But
I don't know if we're
when you
doing that, by
can't
the way. That's
condemn
another
that,
thing.
just
Yeah.
tell me honestly. Just say I don't like Jews. I'm cool. Tell me honestly.
You might be cool, but she can't do that if she wants to have a career. You can't openly admit that.
She is doing that indirectly.
Right, exactly. That's politics. They can do things indirectly. You can't just openly.
It's interesting.
Say shit.
Speaking of the ground invasion, which we were all a lot of guys here at Shul at synagogue.
I think that
this
they are
past
going to be
Shabbos were
doing
talking.
it. I think.
But I just saw an interview with someone who said I just saw an interview with an Israeli, one of like the military IDF officials, who said he couldn't go into details, but he said that everyone is expecting a ground invasion, but it could be something different and it could be something unexpected. So
Right.
I think
That's what I'm
they
saying,
know
is
that
they're
they would
planning
lose a lot
everything
of
very
people
well.
going in there. But the problem is
They're
there's
going to lose a lot of
tunnels.
people. They're going to
Yeah.
lose a lot of people. So they're making sure they're going to go in as prepared as possible. They have their terror tunnels that.
Right. I think it's unfortunate, but they've come to a point where they realize they're going to lose a lot of people. But if they don't try to flush the virus that is Hamas out, this is just going to continue to happen.
2,000 troops on notice in case they need to be sent out.
And even if they do, it's just a Band-Aid until 15 to 20 years down the line, or 10 years down the line, or even 5 years down the line. The next lunatic comes along.
This time it can't be a Band-Aid. This is.
But the problem is you can't eradicate an ideology, and there's always going to be that next person that comes up at some point.
Right. That's why Fauda had so many seasons, because you're constantly getting that. Even
Leo
Fauda,
Raz, who he was saving people.
There was nothing this crazy that's currently going on in Fauda, even.
Nothing.
Like, this is crazy.
He saved a bunch of people, I heard.
I know, yeah. He did. He's like legit.
These are the same unit as Yaniv. He was called in Saturday morning right away. He left.
Shout out Yaniv.
Kids. Yaniv, we love you. And Dad, how are you going to be boxing now?
By the way, if anyone is looking to buy real estate in Israel, please reach out to Yaniv
or Elia Gabay.
Yaniv or Elia Gabay.
But they work together. They're great.
But with all seriousness,
I got you place.
I took Mom to the hospital. She had to get some reports and see a doctor there. We went to Shari Tzedek Hospital. Getting back onto the elevator was another from a religious couple, Jewish couple, and another husband and wife with their child that's not a child, he's in his 20s, in a mobile, one of those electric wheelchairs. We could only use his hands. When you get into the elevator and the door closes and the guy goes, "I'm Yisrael Chai." That's who we are. I never met the guy in my life. That's who we are as a nation, that we come together. What we really have to remember is we've got to become together all year long, not when blood is spilling on the streets of Israel.
Yeah.
So,
100%. That's been one of the most inspiring things for me on the positive notes has been the videos of like everyone that I know who's a chayal or who was called back or who's a reservist. Everyone was like ready and amped and like they're just like send me. Everyone was trying to get back there. Everyone that was in America trying to get back as soon as possible. They were just ready to go. They're like, I just want to be back in my unit. I'm ready. Put me on the front lines. Put me down there. I want to do what I can. It's crazy to see.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of people who are like married with children, and now it's really difficult in the situation. So
right.
Yeah, it's really complicated situation, and also now Hezbollah is like threatening us and like sending things over once in a while. So it's like this could intensify. We could be being attacked.
I was actually thinking about yesterday starting a Twitter account, like a parody account.
It's called X.
Called Khomeini Loves Israel, and they just have a bunch of the AI generated pictures of Ayatollah Khomeini like holding like Israeli flags or like celebrating Israel or something.
They'll target you. Be careful. You will be.
It's
like
really,
all of a sudden you're going to go missing. We're going to be like, what is going on?
His posts are so dumb; they're almost like satire. How insane he is.
Unfortunately, I mean, I don't know when this thing is going to end, and nor do I know how it's going to end.
Yeah, we're working from home now. We don't go to the office.
My only saving grace is that people are, we have a belief in God, and we've been around for 5,000 years. The Romans came and went, the Greeks came and went, the
British came and went,
Egyptians came and went, Nazis came and went. Right. Egyptians came and went, the Nazis came and went.
Corduroys came and went.
Came, and they're still here.
The Crusaders came and went.
Craftsmen
slaughtering us, the Inquisitions, the Spanish.
Here. But we have a lot of death on our side, and of course we don't have the world all behind us. We got universities. If you want to expand upon that, Sheldon or Akiva, universities are like.
I know, that's the thing is I don't know if it's like a representation of the
but they're not saying anything. But they're not saying anything to stop 100%. It. That's an issue.
Who are these people doing these tests? What formula do you enter beheaded babies, kidnapped Holocaust survivors? What kind of data formula do you create with that? I'm trying to figure out would they even come up with this shit? Just because you're in an Ivy League school and you might have a high EQ doesn't mean you have a high IQ doesn't mean you have a high EQ. It doesn't mean you're a good person. And also, do they have any religious affiliation? Or is it completely unbiased? Who is, like, what kind of clinical study is this?
I'll tell you, what's his name? That hedge fund manager, he said he was asked by a bunch of CEOs if they would have released, Bill Ackerman, because he wanted to make sure they wouldn't hire them. And that other girl lost her job at that law firm from NYU. And now a bunch of foundations and other people are publicly pulling support from Harvard and Penn State. You had that professor,
the Wexner family,
right, the Wexner Foundation. Another university, I think at Penn, you had a professor who made a Jewish kid sit in the corner so he knows what it feels like to be oppressed. And just, I mean, we're living in this is like some sort of dystopian
imagine
fever dream.
Akiva right now, you're being in New Jersey with your family and kids, and a siren goes off that rockets are coming and you need to run a bomb shelter. That happened in America, people would be like, people get murdered on Black Friday from stampedes. People would be toppled over. It would be like, imagine being in Times Square. All of a sudden, a siren's going off. That's literally the life I'm currently in with my dogs walking outside.
As Joan Rivers, rest in peace, once said, rightfully so, if New Jersey was digging tunnels into New York or sending bombs in there, she said we would wipe them off the map. They wouldn't exist. They would be gone. We wouldn't drop leaflets. Wouldn't be knock bombs. You wouldn't have a ceasefire. You wouldn't have peace talks. You would detach New Jersey from the rest of the country.
Literally. It might have been a good
if your family, if you ever have to experience what it's like to run with your children, no one should have to know what this is like to run with your children into a bomb shelter. Then you can come have a conversation. Right, about how you should act, about how you should retaliate, about how you should defend yourself to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. It's never again. It's happening now.
Yammer, Sheldon. Yammer. I think you keep on
neighbor,
next door neighbor to us.
Right.
Yeah.
does not have a bomb shelter. I see him one night banging on my. I'm in the basement because we had to get into the bomb shelter. Siren goes off.
Yeah.
Banging on
I
my
told
door.
someone to wake you up. I was the one who started yelling for everyone to come downstairs. You were napping.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm talking about another evening.
I know. I know. Oh yeah.
But thank you, Sheldon, for the
He
extra
did a much
commentary.
needed rest.
I see him banging on my door. He goes, "Is my family here? Is my family here?" Thinking, no, your family's not here. He hadn't got into the bomb shelter. He ran back up to find his family. They ran across the street to Charles's house, Charles Sakala house, to use their house bomb shelter. They didn't know where to go. They don't have a bomb shelter. I mean, you can't be out there when a missile hits down. You know, we're living in a very strange, not strange time. We're living in dangerous times, and
Yep.
Very strange.
if we don't
dangerous
take care of the
times, yeah.
situation and completely eradicate Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas, and America doesn't help us or do that as well,
They are.
this is
helping,
coming to a town near you, all over
Yeah,
the
well, I
West
mean,
Coast.
also we're still happening. We're coming to a
To a
theater
town
near
near
you.
you.
No,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like sounds like a horror movie. No, but like
I
there's
know.
also the Ukraine and Russia war still going on. Like this could really it could be a domino effect. It could be scary.
No, unfortunately, we're all talking. We're all on the same page. We understand the situation. We're here. We've been here. You'll never fight the hate, though. The hate of apartheid, of occupation, of all the stuff. You'll never win it because these people don't want to hear it. They've never been here. They don't know the Gaza Strip. They're not even sure where the occupied territories are, except from a map. You'll never win this fight. And unfortunately, it's just growing in America and the Western world as well. But America is growing very fast, especially with social media today. I mean, years ago, Joseph Goebbels, who was a propaganda minister for Adolf Hitler, he would use the radio and newspapers to spread the propaganda. Now, you got one year post and it's all 100 million people see it already.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody apologizing.
Anymore.
Huh?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say on a more
apologizing.
positive note. I hope as where like you said before, we have the Jewish people have an unshakable faith, and regardless of how this
You ain't
goes
getting rid
down,
of us, bitches.
we don't know how it's going to go down, but we know that we're going to come out on top. We're going to come out victorious. Am Israel Yinatseach, as they say. You know, we're going to come out on top. We're going to win because we have nowhere else to go, as Golda Meir said.
That's what Golda Meir said.
Right.
We're not going back to Germany or Poland. We're not going back to America. So
Ironically, my friend, her family just fled back to Germany, and I'm like, who would have thought in 2023 the Jews would be fleeing back to Germany because they feel unsafe?
it's pretty scary, isn't it?
But Dad, we did want to thank you for coming on, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. This was lovely.
Having
Thank
you on
you
the
for having
pod.
me.
And hope you you stay safe over there. You as well, Sheldon, in the land. Hopefully, we'll only hear good news moving forward. Each day should get better.
Thanks.
The hostages should
I'll
be
continue
returned,
taking myself face from the shelter for you.
and God should watch over all the Chaylim and all the people of Israel and the Jews of the world.
Amen.
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 And hopefully, we'll catch everyone next week, God willing.
Hopefully, in a happier note. You know?
Amen. Everybody stay strong. I'm Yisrael Chai.
Take care,
Yeah.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.